Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. It's another special one off the back of 2021 Q School, and we've got Scotty Dog himself, the former champion of the world, who is now a PDC Tour card holder. Scott, has it sunk in yet?
No, that's the honest answer. I mean, it has. It's I've got a so it's just it's a magic dream, and it's a magic achievement for me, and it's not very often that I'm chuffed with myself with any achievements, and this one I really am, because I did ask a lot of myself leaving it to the last day, and it made me concentrate a lot, and but that still doesn't mean you're going to achieve it. So I thought I played well the day before the last day, and Joe Mernon beat me, I think, with a 97 average. So
yeah,
the confidence had kind of returned, and I think maybe we were a little bit slow out the traps, because we haven't seen anybody for 4 months really to throw a dart with. So other than me mate Ben Hazel online. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit weird, to say the least, and I was very nervous, very nervous.
We'll come on to the last day in a minute, but one thing I'm going to ask you, because you're in this position, and I'm not trying to belittle the World Championship, but was this tougher going into that last day with it all on the line?
It's difficult because it's so different. It's such a different thing, and with the World Championships, you go in really knowing that you've prepared yourself in the right way, and knowing that you're ready. So when you achieve that feels massive. But I didn't know where I was when I went into this, because just solely I didn't know how I was going to play against somebody being in front of me again. And the guys who had the 6 days previous, I think, were a massive advantage. And if they didn't use that mentally to make themselves better, I don't know what is. But as an achievement, yes, it is as big. Yes, of course it's as big. And particularly this year, because it was the hardest year, and touted the hardest year. It was one each day and not two. It just, which proper darts fashion, I didn't realise that until Kurt got his on the first day. So I'm one of those dart players, if you like. I tend to, my mind wanders a little bit elsewhere when it comes to the rules and things, but I know I just keep throwing until somebody tells me to go home because I've lost.
The first 2 days, you didn't play that badly, but didn't get the results. Day 3, you run into Joe Mernon with a 97. What's that pressure like on day 4, knowing that it's all on the line?
Well, there's no pressure. I've got to be honest with you, because you're not expecting it. And that's the honest truth. I didn't go into that thinking, got to get the fight or whatever. I spoke with Carl Wilkinson, funny enough. I played in the quarters, which is horrible. And we spent a bit of time together, and I met him through Scott Waits from doing a few pro tours last year, from him having the card. And we sat together at breakfast and said, we're both on a point here. We need to get to the final. And I was like, oh, right, okay. Yeah, I suppose we do, don't we? And I'm not really one that looks ahead. So I was really pleased how I played against Fallon. There was a couple of marking mistakes during the game, and but I really enjoyed like Fallon went like 2-1 up or 3-2 up, and then overcome the cameras and a few people, and then I leveled it up, and they cleared off again, and then they come back. So there was like a massive amount of pressure. That was probably the worst I'd felt on a dartboard for many, many years. It's probably the first day. I've never been so nervous. Never been so nervous. So my hand was shaking, my knee was going, and you think, just give me a good draw, and then you pop up and get Fallon. Lovely jubbly.
Going into that final against Danny, then, did you know it was already done and dusted?
I did know for the final that it was already done and dusted. But again, as I said to you, I didn't know where I was. The semi-final, somebody said, I'd made it, and I wasn't sure, because I'd worked it out myself, because I'm a brain surgeon. I worked it out this morning at breakfast, but obviously I didn't have the situation of knowing what everybody else at points was doing. And when you're still in, that's the last thing you want to be thinking anyway. You're thinking about win matches. So I didn't know going into the Gelding game that I still had, and I played atrocious. My arm went tight and everything. I wasn't nervous. It was me stopping myself a little bit. So when I got by that game, I thought, well, I got the final. That's what I needed. And then Sharon, my wife, texted me, because obviously they're watching the scores going, and people are on the line going, yeah, he's got it anyway. But I'm still playing, and I didn't know that. So I was playing with Jelly Arm. I was against Andy. So yeah, so when you get it, I just broke down, mate. It's just brilliant, just brilliant news. It was just brilliant.
Were you aware of Danny's situation going into the final, that he only needed a leg as well?
No, no, that's the point. That's the point. I mean, the problem that we're at, where I felt all I was interested in at that point, because we played the final pretty quickly after the semi. So it was the last game of the week. Everybody wants to pack everything up. You got this fat lad from the New Forest holding everything up because he's still in it. And, you know, he's playing a fella from America. You know, everybody just wants to pop on home and get in their own bed. So we went straight back on pretty quickly. And I didn't really talk to anybody else. And but my line of thought was, you know, Sharon, my wife, had texted me to say that I got through. And my line of thought was, well, now I'm in the final, I'm going to win it. And if I can go and win it 6-0, I'm going to win it 6-0. And I, you know, the form, the arm went great again. And so I had a really good game. But Danny was had his head on his hands after the game and sort of like up against the barriers. And I said, what's up, mate? Did you need to win it to win? And he said, no, I believe I needed 2 legs. I didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue till after the result. So, yeah. And then as it happens, it's a local lad that didn't get in, Chaz Bairstow. So I think it was better to not know really, because knowing would have changed my game totally, and that's not right, and I'm not like that. So I just want to play hard and play fair.
You touched on, you said when it was done and dusted, you broke down. Just what does that mean to you? Because now you are among the elite 1 to 8 in world darts.
Look, it's massive. It was lovely to be part of the bits of it that I did last year, which was a lot of it, because I was very fortunate. But I think the reason that I played so well on the last day was because I had the experience that few months before of being at the top of the Challenge Tour, and I was playing like I was holding on, and people were playing against me knowing that I was holding on, and they were doing things to me because they knew I was tight. You know, and so it didn't quite go well with the Challenge Tour. So I thought I'd blown my best chance ever to have a tour card with that run at the Challenge Tour and to finish 5th. And I came home and everybody, oh, you've done well and all that. No, I needed 1 or 2. And that's probably the most disappointed I've been off a dartboard. That took 4 or 5 days to get over, if I'm honest. And I was very quiet at home. So then to go into that situation and get it, I should have done it at the Challenge Tour. I wouldn't have to have been there. That's my line of thought. It really was. But no, as you can tell by the way I'm talking, I'm over the moon with it. I really am over the moon with it. And there would have been I've always said there would be a part of my darting life missing if I hadn't attempted to come and get a card. And circumstances really chose when I came. So I don't want to be too old doing it. But, you know, I feel at 50, I'm still a young 50.
You made your name at Lakeside, and it's been well documented how you love playing there. But now the possibility of Scott Mitchell, the lad from the farm, going to play potentially at the Winter Gardens or Alexandra Palace, how does that make you feel?
The way when you say it quick, Phil, you make it sound like it's going to be really easy. I mean, I know that I'm going to be running into a few brick walls, and I've got a few more heartaches to handle before we're anywhere near any of those. But to play in both World Championships and be one of those players is it's awe-inspiring, really. It's one of those things I really want to do. Although I have played at the Ali Pali before. I was being a stunt double for Johnny Depp for a film a few years back. So I have actually played at Ali Pali, but I was, it was a little bit different. We were 3 days on location, so nothing like with the fans and everything. But look, it's something that I needed to do. It's something that I needed to do for myself. You know, I've been England captain, which is and picked up a World Cup with England, and that's the most amazing feeling. And you just think, oh, there isn't going to be another one. And then, you know, you're a world champion, and then you think, oh, there isn't going to be another one. And then I've been on the Pro Tour and had a few good games, and you think, oh, that was great, but I wish that I would do that again. And now I've been and got a tour card. So there's time between them all. I'm a slow learner, but the good times keep coming. So why shouldn't I quite go and qualify for Ali Pali or the Winter Gardens? You know, I've got to take the momentum and how I feel now and try and turn that into something early doors on the tour, I think.
We've seen the averages, and your A game is as good as anyone's that we've seen. We've seen the high 100 averages from you. Do you believe there is another world title in Scott Mitchel?
Do you know what? Yeah, I do. I do, and I've said it. I said it since the last one. And I don't know. I think there's something about this game that you get a momentum when you're playing, and it just there's days that it just feels right. And I've probably got to feel. I've got to say that I'm pretty guilty of after winning the Lakeside. I was chasing that dream day again. Everything went well that week. Everything felt right. My arm felt great. I could throw him over my shoulder and it double top. And I think sometimes when you've won something, you then go looking for that again. And it took me a real long time to even win a circuit event. But I'm pleased it's happening to me now, kind of 50 years old and not 19, if that makes any sense at all, because I think you're a little bit more knowledgeable at 50 years old than you are at a younger age. And so I'm not so worried about it now. I'm not so worried about that now. That part of my life is done. And we're trying to set a new dart and dynasty here and within the PDC for myself. It's not about anybody else. It's about myself and trying to play well enough and putting a game out there that people that can then respect me for going and having a go and showing that I had it. Because the easiest thing to do would have been to have stayed and hung about maybe and being a big fish in a smaller pond. But I've never wanted to do that. I've never been that. I've always wanted to test myself at the very best level.
We know you're the lad from the farm and that you love what you do down in the New Forest. But with this tour card, this schedule is relentless. You're going to have Pro Tours, Euro Tours when they're back. Can Scott Mitchel do all of it and still carry on with the farm?
Do you know what? That's a great question, mate. I think that I know that something's got to change, because I can't keep doing it the way that I did it. We're talking the PDC now. You know what I mean. We're talking. You've got to dedicate yourself a little bit more. So we know that things have got to change a little bit. I think COVID being on my side a little bit, because that's going to be in for another month or two. I haven't got to rush to make a decision, because at the moment, everything to do with the PDC, with everything being locked down and all having COVID tests on the way in, it's pretty cool at the moment. You just phone up the PDC and say, I'm coming. Can I have a room? This, that, and the other. So I don't really think that I need to rush into any sort of mass decisions of stopping work or whatever. I think that the thing for me would be is I've got to get a happy medium between the two. Obviously, I don't want to stop the farming in any way, shape or form, but I don't want the farming to take over the darts and stopping me perform, because I've got a 2-year chance at it now. So I have to make a decision of, do I go and get a manager to manage the dart side of things and just let me sort of deal quietly and slowly with the farm side of things and have a manager say, you need to be here tomorrow, that's done, so that I can do bits more with the farm? Or do I go the other way and get farm contractors in to try and help me do the jobs and work at the farm and get my son more involved, who is very involved anyway, but take him on like it's a wage, and then manage myself through the darts so that I'm dictating when I go at what time when I want to do it. So there's big questions to ask. There's big things coming up, and it's a decision that I can't make quickly. But when COVID stops, it's one that will have to be made. It's that simple.
I'm guessing as well it'll be a complete family decision as well, not just you making this.
As always, from day one, when we decided even to go onto the BDO circuit, when the first sponsors came in, we sat around the kitchen table with like bread. It was like with the China chicken in the middle of the table, and we all sat around as a family and discussed it like the Boswell. So and that's how we've always done everything. That's how we always do everything. So the kids then were young, and funny enough, it was Katie didn't want me to do it. He's probably had the most out of the darts, playing county with me and everything else. Sharon felt that I should do it, and because it might last a year, 2 years, and if nothing ever happens, you then don't worry the rest of your life saying what if. And my son said that Katie was being selfish and that she wanted me to stay home, Katie, and not do it. So my son said, let's give him a year and see what happens. And here we are 12 years later. And I walked in the door the other day and he says, so we've got another 2 years then, Dad, have we? So I said, yes, Sam, we've got another 2 years, son, yeah. So him wanting me to do it all them years ago and going against his sister as 12-year-old kid. He's now 24 and he'll be 26 before I stop. So, yeah, it's all good.
You say 2 years, though. That's minimum. You must believe there's a lot more than 2 years in Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, it's not just me that believes it. It's them people that sat in the kitchen now discussing me. They believe it too. So, there's something to be had about having such a strong family behind you, and belief. There's just so much belief. It's if there's a day I'm practicing and it's not going well, Sharon will come through and say, just leave it. Just leave it today. Don't keep trying to force it. Just leave it. It's bad practice is bad practice. You know this. We've been doing this for years. You know this. Just put it down. Go and have a cup of tea. Go and watch a bit of Neighbours. Go and watch something that relaxes your mind. Anything that you usually watch, and then go back and try again. And if it doesn't work, I leave it and do it the next day. So when you've got support like that from your wife, your kids, and if I'm having a day that I'm really struggling with the practice and I don't really want to do it, the kids come in and play with me and make me do it. So. And this has not just been something that's happened overnight. And my success is as big a part of them helping me than anything, really. That the sponsors and everything get you there, and they're massive to me. But they can't throw the darts for you. The people that know how I throw the darts have really supported me from day one, and I'm a very lucky boy, and I realise that because not every player's got that.
The buzz around Q School was unbelievable. Like last year when Scott Waits got his, this year you got. Because the BDO, whether people like it or not, has played a huge part in darting lives, shall we say. But one name that crops up more than anything, and you probably know him better than anyone, that people would love to see the great man Martin Adams have one go at it. Could you ever see Wolfie having a go at it, or do you think it's the ship has sailed?
For me, right, I'm like everybody else. I was a fan before I ever met Wolfie, So for Wolfie, then to start playing him as a player for me was great. I wish he would. I wish he would, because everybody's saying, oh, this and all that. I know what he'd do. He'd smile his way through it. He would just absolutely smile his way through it. I've got to be honest, I was quite surprised when he didn't do it this year. We can say that age is a factor and this, that, and the other. I am really surprised that, that he just thought, there's not a lot else going on. Let's give it a go and see what happened. And I'd have loved to have seen that. The buzz. Oh, wow. Just having him coming over and having a go at it. But obviously Martin has his reasons. He's been around a long time. And he calls me, I'm not the dog. He keeps calling me the young pup every now and again. And he's right. Still at 50, I'm still a young pup compared to him. And he's one of the inspirations of why I think that I maybe could have a bit of a longer journey of this. It's use your experience. Don't go against it. Use the experience.
Yeah, well, actually, he's the name that pops up more than any. And we saw last year in the Modus League, he's 64 years of age, hitting 9 darters and 100 averages for fun at that age. And it's just like, I'd just love to see it once him grace the PDC Tour.
I would. I really would. And do you know what? He was great. Like you say, he was great. That I was playing him. You were doing bits and pieces behind the scenes with it, and he was just loving it. Honestly, all I kept thinking when that camera pan round and it was on Wolf, I just expected to see him led there in a deck chair. He was that comfortable with it that it was like, I'm there trying to get onto this online stuff, and he just lapped it up. And that's what I think he'd have done had he gone to Q School. I think he'd have just lapped it up, sorted the situation, and really enjoyed it. But do you know what? I can't wait to see him because I want to ask him the question. I want to ask him myself. Yeah, we got on really well. We were good friends before the Lakeside final, and we were even closer after. Not that we call each other every week or anything like that. We just have this bond that when you've been in the final that we were in, you just have a bond that you know that is great, and you talk to each other about certain things, you tell each other certain things, and obviously with the COVID, I haven't seen him, but I really want to ask him the question of why he didn't do it. I really do.
And again, last one from me. Obviously, we touched on your BDO career, and it's a sad the way it all happened. But out of the ashes, the amateur game now seems to be rising again. We've got the county system back up and running when COVID goes. We've got MAD. We've got the WDF. Are you pleased for someone that played in that kind of environment for so long that the amateur game seems to be on the up again?
Massively. I did not begrudge anything that happened with the BDO until about 8 months from the end. You know, there is no, there's, you know, when you're halfway through a year and it's cost you a lot of money to go and do something, and then you miss out at the end, people are going to be bitter and twisted. But I don't. The situation more than anything was the worst thing, and we should have known about the situation. But there's people there that loved it. There's people there behind the scenes that are going to make it happen again. The EDO are there right back and everything. You've got the WDF, Richard Ashdown and Nick Rolls working alongside the WDF directors to try and get things going there. We've got the MAD side of things looking good, trying to get things back regionally. UKDA with the county. You know, we are blessed. This sport, the sport of darts, is absolutely blessed with the way that it's blanket covered by literally anybody that wants to throw a dart can throw one somewhere. You can be a youth player. You can be a lady. You can be a disabled dart player. You can be an elitist dart player. You can be a county dart player. You can be a pub dart player. There's something for every single level. And I think there's got to be a lot of sports out there who've got to be jealous of that kind of blanket coverage we have with all the organisations, so that every single person can throw a dart if they want to.
Scotty, absolute pleasure talking to you, and thanks for taking time out as always, mate, here at Online Darts, and we can't wait to see the journey over the next 2 years.
Thank you, mate. See you soon.